And before we even get into more of the details of the backstory, let's talk about where your brand is today, because I think that makes the first part even more impressive because of how quick it came together and just some different things. So let's talk about where your brand is, what stores are, what retailers are.
Okay, sure. Well, I'll say we've got a long ways to go, but we've also gotten a lot of traction. It's a really exciting time. This is year 3.5 for Junk Brands. Today, we have just secured licensing with all 30 teams with the NBA, so we'll be rolling out in the next couple weeks a totally awesome package of NBA headbands. Super pumped about it. Just, again, raising the bar with NBA headbands. Start to pay attention to what you see and then what you begin to see over the next 6 months, and you'll see a drastic change in the look and feel of the NBA headband apparel. It's pretty sweet. We also are rolling out some key colleges with the different college licensing there. We have some really exciting partnerships rolled out we have a co-brand with Reebok and CrossFit. This year, again, we're excited to announce that we will also be partnering with Reebok and CrossFit on providing the athletes name and numbered Reebok CrossFit headbands for the 2015 Reebok CrossFit Games. That's pretty awesome. We are launched into Hibbett's stores. We're working on a partnership with Dick's Sporting Goods for their stores. Lids has accepted to take our product in. And we have several more that are just in the works that we can't speak of yet, but the snowball is forming, and we're just super thrilled.
And the point that you decided this is what I need to do was actually in a Starbucks drive-through. I mean, you never know where the next big idea
All
is
great
come
ideas
from.
come in a Starbucks
Right,
drive-through.
or your shower, something like that. So tell us about that aha moment, because that might resonate with someone out here that maybe has had that or is hoping for that.
Yeah, I'm glad you asked that because it's really just a true American story. My husband and I are both entrepreneurs, and in 2011 we sold our real estate company. And no kidding, we were driving through the Starbucks here on North Walton, and or actually South Walton, and the lady at the window made a compliment on my headband, like we have heard for so many years. Hey, I love that. Where'd you get it? Where can I get one? And at that moment, Beau, my husband, turned to me and said, this is what you're going to do next, and I'm going to give you a year of my time. Let's focus on this product together, and let's see what happens. So at that moment, we thought, okay, let's see. We've got some time, and we actually utilized Craigslist, put out some ads for some seamstresses to come help us sew the product. Beau was an active member of Northwest Arkansas CrossFit Box at that time, and that was a great testing ground, just utilizing the resources right there. Let's make a product, let's take it in, get some feedback on it, and the feedback was unanimous. People loved it. They were also very vocal about small changes we could make it wider, make it longer, make it softer. At that time, one thing I'll point out that has been a journey of improvement is we didn't know, I mean, there was a lot to learn. We don't have an apparel background or manufacturing background, so we were taking vinyl transfers with our logo and heat transferring them on. And anytime, if you've got sports apparel and you work out in it and then you wash it, it's going to look good the first time. It's going to look really good. But then as you start to use it, if you happen to use it and love it, that thing's going to crack, peel, and fade. And unfortunately, that was happening with our Junk logo. So we knew we had to raise the bar and figure out a way to have the brand permanent on there, to have the patterns permanent. And we were also getting responses back from customers saying, we want you to rebrand the headband. They didn't want to return it, but would you mind rebranding it? Because we thought Junk was really cool on there. So that was something that we've learned along the process. But from that point, we ended up getting feedback from CrossFit and had some local retailers. Lewis and Clark, you guys might be familiar with, Rush Running and Fat Tire, agreed to take us in and give us a couple months around Christmas to try the product out. Had great results, sold really well in the community. And my husband is very adventurous, and he said, you know what, we need to take this outside of Northwest Arkansas. Let's get an RV. Let's take our family of 5 at the time. We had a newborn. And why not,
Perfect
right?
time.
Why not?
Perfect timing.
So we went ahead and got an RV, made a bunch of product, and we took off across the country. No kidding. We took 5 weeks on the road, decided to stop in, meet with CrossFit boxes, work out with them, ask them to test the product, stopped in at some sporting goods stores, just locally owned, kept it small, and those became our first wholesale accounts. And from that point, we got many recommendations to go and attend the CrossFit Games. At that time, the CrossFit Games were totally booked up. No more vendors were allowed. We got on a waiting list last minute. There was an opening for us, so we went ahead and went. And at that point, in 2012, July 2012, at the Reebok CrossFit Games, Really Junk was born. We had lines out the tent. People were nothing short of going bananas over the product. They were so excited to see cool patterns and different options, and really, I think that there was a pent-up desire for a headband that would stay on, that would do its job, that would look good while being worn. And if there's any group that's going to test a product to its limit, it's probably the CrossFit crowd, because they don't just pump iron, right? I don't know who in here is familiar with CrossFitters. You guys ever watch? So they'll handstand push-ups, climb ropes, push tires, sprint, you name it. They get in there and do some work.
Well, they're the perfect audience for you, but before you get too far, I mean, how did you identify them? Because that's such a small component of athletics. So how did you find that that would be your best audience?
Yeah, that's a great question. So we didn't actually seek out CrossFit. My husband was doing CrossFit at the time, and I started doing it shortly after, so it was a natural testing ground. And I think that's something, as anyone launches their product, you don't necessarily have to seek out where to test it. I think you'll find that within your own sphere of influence, there is a crowd there willing to give feedback and test.
Now, I know when you and I had talked earlier, we kind of talked about this, you know, the shiny light distraction. You took your products to a trade show. They were the fashion products, and they sold out. So for a lot of people, I think that would signalize, all right, this is what I need to do. I found my niche. But you were able to see the kind of the greater picture, that this is the path that you needed to take. How were you able to see past that distraction?
Yep. So I feel like whenever you have an idea, there's a little bit of vetting that needs to be done. And yes, we did make fashion headbands out of like a sheer printed polyester. But as we looked at it, that was kind of the material that was available to me to use at that time. And it seemed like when we did a little bit of research that within many stores, in my opinion, the fashion accessory business didn't necessarily need someone to come in and disrupt. But with athletic apparel, we were seeing the same side item that really no one had paid attention to. And so we saw that both are fun and would be happy to do either, but the opportunity seemed greater to go in and do something different with athletics.
How much time did you spend actually scoping out your competition? Because I would think it would get negative if you did it too much, got too involved in what other people are doing, you're not trying to copy anyone's ideas. How much time did you spend exploring your category?
Yeah, so I think there's something to be said for being a little bit ignorant. If you spend too much time on the front end, you can just scare yourself into not doing anything, right? So we spent a little bit of time and quickly realized that there were just a couple of major players. You've got the main apparel companies for active wear doing it all. And then they've got the same, specifically headbands, for sale at the same price in a package, uninteresting, solid colors, just the same product. So we spent a little bit of time, I don't know really how to quantify it, checked a couple of stores, whatever Northwest Arkansas had to offer, which 3 years ago was even different than today, and saw the same product, and that was really it. I didn't really want to pay attention to any other small company that was trying to go and make a difference. I knew with the team that I had that we could go and make a difference and do something totally different and raise the bar quickly.
So you would credit the CrossFit revolution as kind of spreading the word for you. Is that right? I mean, is that through social media? Because you're a small maker of headbands in Bentonville, and now you're this national company that happened so quick. So what can you attribute to this fire that lit?
Well, I'd say I have a marketing genius for a husband. That definitely helps. Everyone may not have that, but I do. So his genius in just building a brand and making it, getting loud, I like to say, where most people don't know that we were operating out of our garage a year ago. It was a cool garage, but it was still a garage.
They do now.
And yeah, that's right, we do now. Now it's okay to talk about it. But so really paying attention to the way the brand is presented and getting loud on social media. whenever you identify with customers that are passionate about your product, in most cases they're willing to speak on your behalf or tell their friends, and their friends listen to them, and you guys know how social media works, so we definitely have used that to our benefit, and it's really worked out well.
So what's the importance, or what ways do you stay relevant with your audience?
Yeah, staying relevant as a brand and as a product is crucial. Because we have set up a vertical manufacturing facility where we do everything right around the corner, that allows us to turn on a dime. I wouldn't do it any other way. When we see a trend, we can quickly react to what the market wants. We can sample out quickly. We can put something online before we ever sell it. And then if we decide to sell, we can take an order and create the product the same day. So we search for trends really from following people on Facebook and Instagram. We do some light research into the actual trending groups, but we find that there's a lot of people that spend a lot of time and money on figuring out trends, so we just kind of watch them and what they do. We see if it looks like it would be a good fit, and our designers mock stuff up on a daily basis. And we all just kind of sit around. There's about 40 people that work at Junk now, so we just kind of sit around and say, do you like it? Would you wear it? Cool, let's do it.
Hey, that's your best audience.
That's right.
So whenever we talked the first time, you said kind of the famous words that a lot of CPG company leaders I've heard say. If I knew how much was going to go into it, I may not have done it, which is not to discourage anybody, of course, because I don't think that's actually true. But it is extremely overwhelming, and there's a lot of people here and watching on the live stream, you know, that are in that place right now. So what kind of words of encouragement could you give them?
Wow, just press on. You know, I feel like as a manufacturer and a retail brand, it's kind of two different worlds. Had no idea what we were getting into. And yes, it has been a ton of work and still is, but it's so exciting. If you're building a brand or you have a product, to take it to market, to see someone running around town in your headband is, outside of my family, probably some of my finest moments. If you're running in a Junk headband on the streets and some crazy lady has her window down and she's in the middle of the road break and just staring and all, it's probably me. It's that's been, I would just say, just continue on. If you have a good idea, surround yourself with good people and just press on. It's certainly not easy. But on the same note, that helps me sleep better at night to know that I don't think there's anybody else crazy enough to try to retake the footsteps that Beau and I have taken.
And something kind of, you know, that really stood out to me about you was this work-life balance. So you're a mom. How many kids do you have?
I have 3 special little people. They are 3, 6, and 7.5.
Not time-consuming at all. And yet you're continuing to grow your business like this. It's almost like you're running a marathon and not a sprint from our conversation. You know, you really do a good job of pacing yourself every day, cutting yourself off, which is extremely difficult from work. So why don't you talk to everybody about kind of your system, your format, and what works for you?
Sure. Well, I'll say it hasn't been easy. This time last year was certainly not the same type of schedule I lead today. Pretty much, I like to give everything my all with anything I do, probably like most of you, and if you've taken a new product, then that's what's required. When you sign up to be an entrepreneur, you're kind of putting a lot out there. But in my stage of life, I am a mom, and that is very important to me, honestly more important than running this business. So I have to have a very flexible schedule. With that, really there's so much stuff that has to be done every day, like everyone, that I feel like there's no time for things like surfing the internet, chatting around. I get to work, I make my list of what needs to be done, and I certainly won't stop to take lunch until that's done. I like to be the one to pick up my kids at school, so come 2:30, if I feel good about what I've been able to get done, I'll go pick them up, spend some time with them. It may not be quantity of time in this stage of my life, but it can sure as heck be quality of time. And those are two very different things that I have learned to stop multitasking when it's family time, to put that phone down and to spend 10, 15, 20, 30 minutes focusing on each child so that they can fill up their jar and feel like mom is here and mom is present. That's been something that I had to learn. I wish someone would have told me to do less at family time. This year I got it, and it's making a big change, and I can tell in the hearts of my family that it's working out well. So to answer your question, most days I try to keep a very flexible schedule. When I come into the office, it's game time. get it done, check in with everyone, make sure everything's in order, spend some family time if I can, and then when the kids go to bed, it's back at it. Beau and I like to call this the night shift, and that means to us sitting on the couch with our laptops, and we're both back in the game. We spend time together. We're fortunate enough that we enjoy talking business together, but night shift for us happens about every night, and we knew that it would be. This is year 3.5, so it's certainly no time to take a pit stop.
You're both still here, so that means it's working out well. Nobody's
That's right.
killed anybody yet.
We were married in 99, so 15 years.
Wow, you're not going anywhere. That's great. All right, so talk about your relationships. How did you build relationships with retailers? Because it's one thing to be with your audience and be surrounded by your audience at the CrossFit Games and other events, but how did you go about starting those relationships?
Well, I'll say persistence, and some of it is just showing up and doing a great job. We go to a lot of events. Our marketing in the very beginning, and really still today, is pretty grassroots. One of my mentors once told me that the battle is won in the preparation. So we seek out great events to go to, we set up, and we have a model where we can actually sell product to cover the cost of being there, so it's a win. And through showing up and doing a great job, amazing things happen. People wander into your tent through curiosity, through buying something for a family member or for themselves, and if you will just take that opportunity, you're given an inch, you end up taking a foot. Inquire who are they and what do they do and what are they interested in, and I think you'll find that we're all connected to opportunity in some way. So it's really just a numbers game. You talk to enough people, you show up and do a good job enough times, and the right opportunities will happen. I'm convinced of it.
And you had one like that happen, right? Was it at the CrossFit Games in 2012?
Yeah. So in 2013, at the CrossFit Regionals on Reebok headquarters, it's a beautiful campus, we were there doing what we do. We had a junk booth up, and we were selling headbands to the CrossFit athletes. And my husband, Beau, spotted a guy kind of standing off in the corner observing the brand. And Beau did what he always does. He went out and engaged him. And it happened to be the CMO of Reebok, who was really excited about what we were doing and seeing the athletes wearing our product, and ended up the conversation just moving to, hey, let's see if we can do something together. I like what you guys are doing. I like that the CrossFitters are wearing your product, and I'll say from that moment, we took a hold of that and pushed it as far as we could with what else can we do together, and let's match up. You've got this coming out, let's do a headband that matches up with that. Great, can we be the athlete headbands for the Reebok CrossFit Games? Just looking at what opportunities were there and continually being persistent with that relationship.
I mean, I feel like Beau would have walked up to him no matter who he was. He had no idea who this person was.
Didn't.
So.
He's right, just maximizing every opportunity.
Yeah, you never know. It could be a customer with good advice. Or
Absolutely.
All right, so in this whole mess, this madness of starting this business, you learned a lot. So what are some of the big things that you could advise other people kind of as a takeaway of what you've learned? I mean, I know you said staffing. There was a lot involved with learning how to staff. How did you go about learning all of that? Is it just a minute-by-minute process?
Well, I don't know if there's time for for that, and I learn so much every day. With staffing, I'll say that generally caring about people is probably at the core. I happen to care about people. The folks that work for us are awesome people, and caring about them and hearing about what's important to them and staying involved in their lives has been very important. Building a culture, a company culture, that's something I've had to learn. It just so happens that manufacturing in Bentonville is something that we, along with the others that work for us, can take hold of and be very proud of. When hiring, I find myself looking a little bit less at experience and education and more if they're just the right fit. I like to think about getting the right person on board and then figuring out where the heck we're going. I don't know what position might come open this next year. It seems like we're always hiring. And if it's just someone with a great work ethic that is honest and has a great attitude, then it'll probably be the right fit. Some other things that I've learned along the way is to surround myself with good people, mentors especially. It's been a prayer since I was a little girl for a woman mentor and for many mentors to come in and share the knowledge, and I've been really blessed with the mentors I have in my life. Also, on the note of surrounding yourself with good people, just simply asking good attorneys in the area, good accounting in the area, understanding cash flow. It seems like in the beginning you just go, and at every turn there's a question that you don't know the answer to. The good news is Northwest Arkansas is such a wonderful place to start a business, and there's so many people that know the answers to your questions and that are very willing to help. So cheers to Northwest Arkansas.
Yeah, this could have played out a lot differently if you'd been anywhere else.
Oh, absolutely.
One other thing I don't think you mentioned when you were telling the backstory of the company is where this original idea came from. I mean, you were what, like 11, you said?
Yeah, well, so I have forever worn headbands. Don't have one on today, but most of my life I've worn headbands, and really I think like many people, just couldn't find one that would stay on. I also got irritated with the pressure of a headband. It would give me a headache. I just wanted it off, and that was frustrating because it's such a cute accessory that I really wanted to wear it often and got frustrated with it, as well as was very active and would sweat and wanted something that would be cute on the field. So all of that ended up just me going and buying fabric, cutting stuff up, tying it on, realizing that the tie fit was actually a really great option, and I didn't understand why people didn't have it, so I just would find cute patterns, cut them up, tie them on, and be happy with the result of the headband. And seriously, all along the way, people would say, gosh, I love that headband. That's so cute. Where can I get it? So just didn't really think about paying attention to all of those comments and compliments until the right time.
But you stayed true to your roots because you called it junk. The brand is junk, and when you were that age, you called it, "This is my junk."
Yeah,
right?
it's a term I hold very affectionate to me, that I always has represented this product is my junk. When Beau and I were looking to name the company, we wanted something that was really counterculture, something that people would look at and think, well, must be good. If the name of it's junk, that sounds pretty cool. And we were surprised that people loved it as much as they did. We loved it, but when we started in those very early days, heat transferring that logo and it coming off and people calling back and saying, we want you to repress the logo, we knew that that meant that there was great adoption there.
And as an entrepreneur, I mean, your spirit about it continues to this day. I know you're working on another item. I don't know how much we want to talk about that, but there's something new in the works that isn't an athletic headband, but it has to do with headwear. And it was born out of your observation. You were out one day and you made an observation, so it seems like that you're very true to your roots as far as what touches you and what inspires you. It sounds, I mean, that's really important.
Yeah, it is. I don't know if there's time to talk about the new product, but
Sure.
You're absolutely right, Kelly. I was at a deli here in Northwest Arkansas and was observing the deli food service worker, and just from looking at, really you see them from behind the counter head up, right? And we do headbands. So I'm looking at him thinking, gosh, that hairnet, man, I bet you're super cool, but the hairnet is not super cool. And as you start to pay attention to deli food service workers now, you'll see what I'm talking about. And it's unbranded. I feel like it's degrading, and I just felt bad for the guy. So I just was staring at him. He probably thought I was kind of wacky, but I'm staring at him thinking like, there's got to be something we can do about this. And then the light bulb just clicked. It was, hey, why not attach a headband to a hairnet and make this thing look cool and be cool and almost disguise the hairnet a little bit. So through this process, I actually brought an example. We have just launched ProNet, which is the first ever hairnet headband. We did some, and I was going to show, I don't mind to show a, let's see if I have it here. I'm going to do a little show and tell for you. So most of you guys know, but I always feel like it's worth something to show you how bad something can look before you show the good. So this is just your regular traditional hairnet. This is made to last, pretty much a 4-hour shift, right? And they're going to trash it. And it's certainly not cool at all. I even feel way less cool just putting it on. So
Props for doing that.
So we took this and said there's a couple problems with it. Number one, the branding. It doesn't look cool and it makes people feel probably bad about themselves. Number two, it's made to last 4 hours. And 3, there's no way to brand. If you're behind the counter making Subway sandwiches or whatever, there's no way to brand it. So we took that and we changed everything about it. We couldn't find a existing source for a netting that was made to last. So we ended up having our own made. So we have a proprietary netting now that's tear resistant. That's actually not the same as a hairnet, but it's made to look and feel like a hairnet. This is tear resistant. It's breathable. It meets all of the standards with the FDA. And then we ended up taking a technical fabric that was antimicrobial, that would wick sweat when you get hot, that was soft against the skin, and utilizing our technology to make a branded option that wouldn't crack, peel, or fade, much like our junk headbands, but for the food service industry. Yep, so I'm going to go ahead and put this on, and this is the one that if you drive through Chick-fil-A Rogers or Pleasant Grove, you'll probably see the kitchen staff wearing them in the back.
So much better.
Hopefully.
So much better.
So this product is made to wear 6 months to a year. We're going through testing right now with it, but anything can be changed to even make it last longer. But the construction of it, it's a patent pending product, so it's uniquely ours. This is something we're super excited about. Number one, because it's just helping to bring dignity to the people serving us every day, and that feels really good. But second, it's something that's in our wheelhouse to do. We do headbands, so the progression of a hairnet headband is right in our alley as well.
But still, I mean, not necessarily what somebody might have thought of in the athletic category. That's what was so impressive about that. That, and you can serve us lunch, which is coming up in just a few minutes.
That's right. Happy to do it.
But, you know, just kind of as a final piece of advice for the young entrepreneurs out there, I know you said don't lose hope. Overcoming fear seems like a big thing for you. It almost seems like you didn't have any about starting this.
Oh, I don't know about that. I think you can work yourself into a tizzy about anything, really. And my mom always said, choose to be positive and choose to be happy. Attitude is a choice. So, you know, you don't want to walk blindly into stuff. But I think just showing up and realizing that if it's so hard for you, then it's going to be so much harder for someone else. So just stay the course, be persistent, and maximize your opportunities would be what I have to